Never chase men again. 38 dating secrets to get the guy, keep him interested, and prevent dead-end relationships. By Bryans. Introduction. We all make dating and relationship mistakes. I'm sure you can remember the exact moment you lost interest in some of the guys you used to date. It probably happened in an instant where the poor fool had no idea that it was something he said or did that one time that caused you to kick him to the curb. On the other hand, it might have happened slowly over time, where it was a series of events or repeated behaviors that slowly turned you off of him for good. If this sort of thing can happen to men, it can happen to women as well, and it does very often. Sometimes there are things that a woman does early on in a new romance that may make a man become distant, lose interest almost instantly, or even force him to place her in the friend zone, or worse, the friends with benefits category. These are the type of mistakes that usually happen during the first few weeks of dating, before a serious relationship even has a chance to develop. But even after a serious relationship has formed, there are certain dating mistakes that women make that great guys see as big red flags. These sorts of mistakes cause men to break up with a woman or even demote her so that again she finds herself as nothing more than a friend with benefits. This sort of situation is actually worse than when it happens during those first few weeks, because you would have wasted so much of your time and affection on a man who either didn't deserve it or who wasn't right for you to begin with. The thing is, if a man doesn't take you seriously, then he may feel compelled to have a good time with you. And this good time will last until you realize that you're being taken for a ride, or he finds his Mrs. Right. I personally believe that if a woman values her dignity and her sanity, it would be in her best interest not to wait for that letter to occur. In cases like this, what a woman really requires are two things: a healthy amount of self-respect and a set of dating guidelines that will allow her to make tough, rational decisions as she navigates the treacherous territory of finding Mr. Right. Strong boundaries versus game playing. A lot of dating and relationship books for women tout the idea that a high level of confidence is key when dealing with men if you want to be taken seriously and get what you want. I completely agree, but with one caveat. Being confident, at least in regards to making a man pursue you, is pointless without understanding how to apply that confidence when dealing with men. A woman's confidence is communicated to a man by what she stands for and what she doesn't. Being able to confidently socialize with men, having confident body language, and illustrating confidence in your femininity, in the way you dress and carry yourself, will only go so far if you still allow men to have their way with your emotions, time, affections, body, and anything else for that matter. Self-confidence makes a woman more attractive, but unless it affects how she enforces her personal boundaries, it won't do anything to keep a man interested in her for the long term. The other problem with simply telling women to be confident is that a high level of self-confidence does not guarantee discernment in dating. In other words, confidence does not necessarily translate into judiciousness when dealing with men. You can be as confident as Kanye West on Grammy night and still be taken for a ride by a man who possesses both confidence and cleverness. Unfortunately, a woman's level of judiciousness when dealing with men can only come from experience. And though learning about the dating experiences of other women can teach you a whole lot about dealing confidently with men, in the heat of the moment, When your emotions and desire for a guy are overwhelming, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to think clearly and make judicious decisions. So, what's a girl to do then? Well, since self-confidence without cleverness can only go so far, the most reliable weapon a woman has when it comes to dealing with men is the strength of her own personal boundaries, regardless of the situation. Women with strong personal boundaries are principle-centered, not man-centered or romance-centered. To them, their personal values, such as being treated with unconditional love, are more important to them than needing to be with any one particular guy. When a woman has strong personal boundaries when dealing with men, she doesn't make excuses because of a man's handsomeness, status, wealth, race, background, promises, sexual chemistry, etc. She sticks to her guns and refuses to settle for dating situations that are a win-lose for her. Win-lose meaning that the guy wins at her expense. In fact, a woman with both strong personal boundaries and high moral character will refuse to be in a dating situation in which it's a win-lose to either herself or the gentleman in question. Sometimes you may find yourself in a situation where you can easily take advantage of a guy, where you can win at his expense. The higher your values are, however, the less likely you are to take advantage of this sort of arrangement, because you know that healthy relationships are always win-win. In order to succeed with men, you must possess strong personal boundaries and know when to say no, withdraw, or move on from a win-lose dating situation. This is why some women tend to get confused when they read one book suggesting that men don't want women who play games, and yet another book that says that the only way to win with men is to play games and act hard to get. They're confused because they're usually missing the foundational core of the hard-to-get message. Here's the truth once and for all. High-quality men do not pursue women who feign disinterest, act flaky, or play games just to keep them interested. However, what these men do respect are women who have zero-tolerance policy for time wasting and being manipulated. Did you get that? Again, while most men, especially quality men, are not attracted to gameplay in women, they are attracted to women whose personal boundaries are so strong that they simply will not suffer guys with waning romantic interest or those who try to take advantage of them. This is why the tactic of withdrawing from a man whose interest in you is diminishing can make him give chase again. The technique of withdrawing communicates to a man that a woman values her dignity more than she does a man's attention, and therefore will not waste her time and affections on a man who doesn't recognize her worth. To a woman who enjoys playing games with men, withdrawing from a man may work, but her actions aren't based on her own self-respect. It's based on a selfish motive, the need to feed her desire for male attention. However, to a woman with strong personal boundaries, withdrawing from an irresolute man is merely a sincere display of her self-respect. If you learn to value your self-respect more than you value being liked by any particular type of men, you will have no need to play hard to get. A woman with a high amount of self-respect doesn't need to play games with men because she will defend her personal boundaries, regardless of the situation she may find herself in with the men she comes across. When a high-quality man comes across a woman with strong personal boundaries, Her self-respecting behavior wildly increases her level of attractiveness, the kind of attractiveness that makes him consider her a woman worth committing to. The reverse is also true in that a woman with weak personal boundaries will exhibit the kind of needy or desperate behavior that will compel a man to see her as nothing more than a hookup or a short-term love interest to distract himself with. This sort of thing can happen to a woman with weak personal boundaries, regardless of how physically attractive or charming she might be. Which leads me to the core purpose of this book. Every dating guideline within this dating book is designed to transform you into an irresistible catch to the right guy by helping you strengthen your boundaries with men and better communicate your prize-worthiness, the personal qualities that make him see you as the keeper. Dating habits that attract high-quality men. Keep in mind that everything I share with you in this book was written with the utmost sincerity, deepest concern for your love life or lack thereof. The last thing I want you to do is beat yourself up as you read through these guidelines and realize that you've been making some nasty errors in judgment in how you date men. It is not my intention to beat you over the head with the club. And while you find some serious tough love in the following pages, it's all written to inform you of how men really think and act towards women when it comes to dating. Also keep in mind that this short little book was by no means meant to be exhaustive. The honest truth is that there may be a ton of reasons why a man becomes distant, loses interest in you, or tries to treat you like a hookup. So instead of trying to help you understand how all men think in order to keep their interest, I decided to focus on a single group of men: high-quality men. Extracted from the book Never Chase Men Again by Bryans. To have access to the full book, click the link in the description of the video. Thank you.